Hey everybody, The Four Faces of Manhood is the next chapter, part 1. And this particular chapter talks about the king face and the warrior face. And unfortunately, this book goes on to say, unfortunately, society has often depicted masculinity as one-dimensional. But a biblically based, broad masculinity is multi-dimensional. The kind of masculinity that can move into multiple settings and express itself appropriately and powerfully when needed. Now, over these two sessions, part 1 and part 2, chapter 4 and 5, they're going to go over the faces of manhood, and this one, as I said, is going to be the king face and the warrior face. Now, the king face reflects righteous energy. It's characterized by strong conviction, courageous moral choices, servant's spirit, and righteous leadership. The essence is providing for others and loving what is right. The king face is primarily living with integrity, loves the truth over what is easy. A couple of good examples that they give, both from the Old Testament. One is Nathan. You know, Nathan, great example was he's the one that stood up to the king, got in his face, and gave him a speech about his wrongdoings, his sin with his adulterous time with Bathsheba. I mean, can you imagine going up against the king, your king, and pointing out his sin to him, to his face? But Nathan took that because God asked him to do that, and he stepped into that role and he did it. And of course, the other king face, the other example would be David himself, with all that he did, all that he accomplished through God. And yet when he did see his sin, he would bow down and cry, and he would cry out to God, just telling him how much he did wrong and asking for God's forgiveness. You know, the king face is also about leadership itself. You know, a man's king face pushed too far can become a bully, a tyrant, a dictator, tyrannical. If a man does not have enough of the king face, though, he can struggle with compromise, be considered the compromiser. The king face is leading with integrity. And then that brings us over to the warrior face. The warrior face reflects courageous energy. Its characters are initiative, protection, provision, perseverance. The warrior face is primarily associated, though, with the initiative. The warrior face, it goes on to say, fights for what matters most. It's also associated with purpose. 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 27 is run the race to win and fight for the noble things and the eternal things. And in 1 Timothy 11:12, it talks about fighting the good fight of the faith. Now, some of the characteristics of the warrior face. If a man's warrior face is pushed too far, he can become abusive, harsh, especially to those around him. He can become a destroyer. But the reverse is true, that if he does not have enough of the warrior face, he can struggle with passivity, easily giving up, and is quick to tap out or surrender. Because it could be called a wimp. The warrior face is fighting for what matters most. So if you take these two faces, the king face and the warrior face, they're the first two faces of manhood. An authentic man must have both. Has to have righteous energy, courageous energy, must lead with integrity, and be willing to fight for what matters most. Now, chapter 5, they're going to get into the other two faces, which are the lover and the friend. And yes, as an authentic man, we need to have all four of these faces in order to be a well-rounded man. And I'm not talking like my gut rounded. I'm talking a well-rounded person who's going to fight with integrity, love others, have faith, be a friend, and be a leader.